I cue the intro music. Oh, what? There is none? Oh, okay then. Well, hello, dear listener. What follows is an edited version of the original audio from an interview I conducted nearly 2 years ago, so in 2019, pre-COVID. I was speaking to Treasa Spragg about struggle porn, sleep, naps, deep work, and getting the most important thing done each day. The audio was recorded in her car by the side of the road in Dublin City, and it was intended only as the basis for a written blog post. So this is in no way professional audio quality. You can occasionally hear other cars, and we even have to move her car ourselves at one point. I'm not a professional interviewer, nor am I trying to be, so excuses made. But I've decided to make the audio and its transcription available now anyway, as there's a lot of great wisdom that Treasa shared here, that people struggling with sleep and work in 2021 will find helpful, I think. So, as many people, myself included, prefer to listen to an interview rather than to read it, I've provided the audio format on YouTube, and its transcription is on the kevinmurphycoaching.com website as a blog post. Each one will link back to the other for simplicity's sake. And with that said, now please enjoy this interview with Treasa Spragg.
So I'm Treasa Spragg. I'm the CEO of Revolution Project Limited, and I basically get people moving and then I help them to sleep optimally.
So we were going to talk about struggle porn.
I support them.
So what exactly is struggle porn? Where does it come from?
Struggle
and
porn
how is it at odds
do you
with
know
science?
what's hilarious? The guy who's responsible for wrecking our sleep is, of course the term struggle porn did not exist back then, but in 1879 when Edison created the first light bulb, really he set us all off on this whole thing of thinking that we could use daylight, our dark hours of darkness, to be, quote unquote productive. He famously used to say that he only needed 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night, and that we shouldn't be focusing on losing sleep. We should be focusing on a better use of that time. But since then, you've had so many people, unfortunately mostly males of no particular age, but who do the whole sort of hustle and grind thing and think I'll sleep when I'm dead. You can get by on 3, 4, 5 hours a night. We've had some famous people like Margaret Thatcher, Trump, people like that who sleep very little, but all of the scientific research shows you're going to be chronically sleep deprived if you have less than 6 hours. 7 to 8 is optimal for the majority of people. There are ways to find out precisely how much you need, but most of the global population will fall between 7 and 8 hours, and more than 9 is as detrimental to your health as less than 6.
It is true that there's like a fraction of a 1% of people who do get by and they're fully healthy on 2 hours, 3 hours.
There are people that are called super sleepers. So it's a genetic anomaly, and there have been very, very few of these people in the world, but they genuinely only need an hour and a half. Then there's
which is one sleep cycle, is that right?
That's only one sleep cycle, yeah, and that's genuinely all they need. There is an interesting opposite phenomenon called the fatal familial insomnia, that it's genetic, so it hits, and it has only appeared, I think, in Italian families, where it just has a sudden onset. Could be in your 30s, and very, very quickly you basically develop really bad insomnia, and then of course you have all the resultant health side effects, including dementia, and people die. So that's sort of the opposite end of the scale. But most people who say that they can get by in 3 and 4 hours, if you put them in a sleep clinic and if you actually got some researchers to do cognitive tests, you'd find that isn't the case. The sleep doctor, like that's his title in the US, actually only needs 5 of those cycles, so he does get more time in his day than the average person.
Right, so because it's 5 times 12.
It's 5 times 78 minutes.
No, but he's saving 5 times 12 time.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
That's
He gets more more bang out of his day.
But generally it's sort of 89, 90 minutes for most people.
Yeah.
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 And you need 5 of them is...
You need 5 of them. Very
Because
unique.
you're not getting your REM sleep.
Well,
so
very
otherwise,
unique things happen in the sleep cycles, and even the way, like, we have more deep sleep in the early part of the night, which is why it's a really good idea to try to get to bed around 10, you know, as opposed to midnight or 2 a.m. And then we have more of the dreaming. We spend more time in dreaming in the later stages of, but even the light sleep, particularly the light sleep and wakefulness before, a couple of hours before you wake up, are also really important. The different stages all have different purposes. I mean, scientists are still asking, why do we sleep? There are still so many questions around why do we sleep, and we're only just beginning to find out things about dreams and things like that. But yeah, no, we need the 5 cycles. You can, so Nick Littlehales works with football teams, Olympic cycling teams, all of this kind of stuff, and he will say, look, it's not optimal, but if you must, then you can get by with 4 good nights and then 3 nights where you're only getting 4 cycles, but you make sure you adjust your time for going to bed and waking up so that you get 4 cycles, and then you have what he calls a controlled recovery period the next day where you're getting a full cycle, you know, in optimum conditions.
So these 3 and 5 hour sleepers are just supplementing with coffee during the week, and then they're crashing for most of Saturday into Sunday morning, and then they're effectively jet lagged come Monday.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually work. You get into a really bad cycle with trying to offset your tiredness with caffeine. You're going to go into, you know, just a really bad cycle, because all caffeine does is block your sleep drive, and then it'll keep you up, because it can hang about. It has a half-life of, you know, sort of 7 to 8 hours depending on your physiology.
So no coffee in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's best to have no coffee after 2. I mean, you do get some anomalies, of course. You always will. We're all slightly different physiologically, but for the general rule is,
So do you follow your own advice? And
completely. I actually don't.
You get it even with kids and...
Oh yeah, I almost don't drink coffee at all. I'll have a decaf sometimes, but I really have to hunt down a decaf that hasn't been chemically treated to be decaffeinated. But yeah, I know, so I'm all like herbal teas and turmeric lattes and you know, decaf tea after about 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I've never been a coffee drinker. I've taken to it, not a little. In the last, say, few months, I sort of found a jar in the press after someone moved out.
Oh, funny!
And I was really tired one day. I was like, sure, try it. And because I don't drink it, it's like...
Oh yeah, it has a huge effect on you.
Initially, but then it's just going to wear off. So.
Oh, it does. Well, it basically blocks the tiredness signal in your brain. So when it wears off,
it doesn't make you less tired.
It doesn't make you less tired.
You don't realize it for a while.
Exactly. It just blocks that information from you, and then when it skulks off away to its corner, you know, all of a sudden you get this message like, whoa, you know, you're this much tired, you know, instead of the tiredness creeping up on you gradually.
So you're productive all day, is that it? Or you,
well, you know what? With our circadian rhythms...
I was meaning you personally, but it's like, of course you'll have your peak, trough, and recovery.
Yeah.
But
and we do. You
start the day without needing coffee, and you're just.
Oh yeah, no,
full
absolutely, yeah. Because once you actually realize, you know, look, it's been telling us fake news for years. Essentially, that's what coffee's been doing. See, a lot of us, like, we're all ritualized. And, you know, every habit, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, it's a ritual. So it's something that we've become so used to doing. So it does take, I say to people, like, you know, don't worry about sort of shifting something by 5 or 15 minutes. It might feel as nothing, but once you've done it for a month, you've actually made a massive difference. So, like, I will have people who are like, you know, I love an espresso after dinner, like 8 o'clock at night. And I literally just ask them to bring it back 15-minute chunks and just to write it down so that, you know, and of course, if their dinner is always late, then just kind of, you know, instead of having the espresso, moving it on to something that's a substitute that they actually enjoy. And so that you're basically you don't have to do it in one fell swoop. I find that, you know, that's like New Year's resolutions. You say you do like all of these things and then it's too much too fast, you know. Psychologically, we don't like change.
I'm a cold turkey kind of person, but I'm a huge believer in habits as well. But like gradual learning of things. Like I'm working on something difficult, like learning a new piece of music or something, and like I don't know when I'll get there, but I'm going to do a little bit every day, and I'll get there. But then with other things like, I take cold showers now, so that's what I do every day.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it once a week and then twice a week.
Yeah, you're doing it every day.
Yeah.
Excellent. Did you read some Wim Hof stuff, or how did you get into the cold showers?
I'd heard things about it, but like even conflicting things, like, oh, cold showers are great to wake you up, but cold showers are great before bed to get you to sleep. I was like, no, come on.
Oh no.
But in the end, I was trying to get some work done at 10 p.m. or something. I was really tired.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the chair and it's like, I can't. What'll wake me up? Splash the face with water. Doesn't feel like enough.
Yeah.
I need it like all over my chest and everywhere. I need to really just cool down. Do you know what? I will just try this. I'll do 10 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
But I'll count to 10. I'll make it 10 seconds. Started the habit then, and I continued it. So every morning, that's instead of coffee, and I rarely do it in the afternoon anymore. But it gets me right up.
Yeah.
If you're in control of your own schedule, which I currently am, that you take the 8 hours, even if it means you're starting work later.
Oh, completely. I mean, the thing is that kind of depends on your age as well. Like the thing is that once kids go from being kids to being teenagers, their circadian rhythms are knocked out by 3 hours. So all of a sudden, like, you know, kids have genuinely been feeling sleepy at 7 or 8, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's 10, 11 midnight, which really frustrates a lot of parents. But once you realise that this is something they have no control over, they're genuinely not tired until later, but they still absolutely need their sleep. And so schools shouldn't be starting as early as they do. But the gradual restoration then of your circadian rhythm back to a decent time can be something that people don't focus on. So you could come out of your teenage years into your 20s and you still have this thing of going to bed too late, and it requires moving back. So what's optimum for our bodies is that, because we do have the circadian clock actually is a 24.5 clock, but it gets reset every day by the melatonin. But it is optimal if you go to bed at the same time every day and wake up at the same time every day. And when you start doing that, what happens is, even at the weekends, I'll wake up at 10 to 6 naturally on the weekends. And I might sort of lounge in bed a bit longer and just be thinking and ruminating, but I have hours to get stuff done before the kids wake up, which is brilliant. But, you know, if I then am going out, I'll have a nap that afternoon and I'll have a nap the following day. So, but it is better for your body. It's better for your brain function. So
if you're going to be out late, you make sure you get an evening nap first.
Get a nap like the previous afternoon, and definitely get one. You don't stay in bed longer. You get up at your normal time, but I would definitely then have another nap in the afternoon, you know. And
what's your nap alarm clock set for? Like the 25 minutes?
It depends. I'm basically a half hour if it's just a general day and for whatever reason I'm feeling tired. That'll happen once in a while. But if I've gone out to salsa or something and I'm back late, then I'll try have a full cycle. And I'll set the alarm for 90 minutes and, you know, make sure the bedroom's dark and quiet and everything. And
so you'll get one full cycle?
Get one full cycle, yeah.
I can't remember where I heard it, but my nap timer is set to 25 minutes because it's like you don't want to hit 30 and be the first third into your cycle, because you'll wake up more tired than when you began if you allow yourself to hit 30 minutes.
Well, it's when you go beyond, if you go beyond the 30 and particularly 60, or like sort of the 30 to 60 seems to be really challenging for people, because you probably have gone into just that part of the cycle that you don't want to be woken up from. You know, you always want to be woken up towards the top of.
Is there a name for that part of it?
It's the deep wave. So it's your deep sleep. It's the slow wave.
Right.
Of sleep, and it's just, if somebody will call you, or like they'll really have to shake you, or you know the alarm goes out, it pulls you out of it, which is challenging.
30 or 90 minute naps, but you don't really want to be in the middle of that.
No, and that's funny, there's something that Simon Walker recommends, but very, very, you know, just once in a while, Matthew Walker rather, not Simon. If you're very tired but you do have to be productive, he advises taking a cup of coffee. Nappuccino. Taking a coffee, having, 30-minute nap, you wake up, the coffee will hit your brain in sort of 20 to 30 minutes, and Bob's your uncle, you're going to Yeah, you're going to be very productive for the next wee while. I mean, the thing is that, caffeine has been shown to have, it's the prefrontal cortex that it affects, and you have, it definitely helps your cognitive function, but then all of the other, all of the other side effects sort of, cancel that out. It's just if you have you've a presentation or there's something or other or something's happened and
Use it in
you
special
need to be
circumstances.
special circumstances. Yeah. You don't want to be
Secret
doing stuff
weapon.
like that all the time. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not a daily ritual to be getting
Yeah.
into, or at least if you're
Wreck
not a
your
coffee drinker.
adrenal glands.
The angle was struggle porn as well, so to
Yeah.
draw it back to that, what sleep is the main thing. Struggle porn kind of is attacking, I suppose, but
But I think as well, it's sort of the longer working day where people feel like, I think especially, I don't want to necessarily name check, but there were a lot of talkers and who were basically like, hustle and grind, endlessly for 5 years, and then, you'd have it made and you'd be able to kind of coast. And 5 years of your life is actually a very, very long time in terms of doing a lot of damage to your health and to your relationships. We always have to kind of think, what's the cost of our life? And if you were to sit down and write, well, what's really, really important to me? The majority of people will say my health, my family, my friends, maybe a passion cause or something.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
but it's not my internet marketing business.
yeah, but it's also like, well, okay, if I'm going to basically hustle like crazy for 5 years and disregard my health, not take care of anything that I love, like my family, my friends, anything like that, is that life? Like, is it worth it? And the thing is that you never know when something is going to happen to you. I think you have to always live like you have this present moment in this day, and that's it, and it's wonderful to have it. So I think you always have to, if your values are, or the things that make you really happy, if you know what they are, I think they have to guide you. And then at least every day you're going to be happy and you're going to be close to people. And it might take a little longer to get to your goal, but not necessarily. Like, I think if you create the right
consistently
conditions,
do the most important thing every
Yeah.
day and a few other 2 or 3
Yeah.
tertiary important tasks, you'll be getting
Yeah.
there as well. And like,
Cal Newport has 2 amazing books on like deep work and digital minimalism. But with deep work, he talks about the fact that you have to train your brain almost as if you're training your body in a gym to be able to do completely focused deep work. And like, I love the thought of a power hour. I've known about that for a long time, but he was talking about you can extend your capabilities, but it really takes a lot of focus and training to get from 1 hour to 4. But he thinks 4 hours is maximum that anybody can do in a day. So that means anyone going into an office and working from 9 to 5, the most really good, deep, productive, excellent work you can get out of them is 4 hours. All the rest of the time is administrative, it's relational, it's meetings that push things along a little bit. But the deep, unfocused work where everything, all the magic really happens, you can't get more than 4 out of somebody. The thing is as well is that the proof's in the pudding. I mean, he's 37, he's a professor, and he's actually produced, more papers than is the norm for somebody of his age and experience, and obviously now with the books as well. And that's why his second book was really, or the second one that I read, Digital Minimalism, was really useful, because it talks about the attention economy. And
I've heard him speak on
what
that.
you're going to do as an individual about that. How do I guard my own time? How do I guard the input that comes into me? How can I make sure that I'm choosing the input rather than just leaving it open and just saying, go on world, via all these social media platforms?
Like your mental diet.
Yeah, completely. And I think it's really important.
So he was saying 4 hours total in the day, or was it a 4 hour blitz?
Well, it's a 4 hour blitz, but he reckoned that's the most that
emails
somebody
after
could
that,
do.
yeah.
Everything else would be, And even for his office hours, for students to come and see him, there are 2 set days of the week at these times. And, he's very clear on the time he gets for family and the time he gets for, his own health and things like that as well.
I'll have to look that one up. It's very interesting.
He doesn't even do email. It's really funny. He has all these caveats before you email him. And
Right.
email is the only way. He has no social media whatsoever. You won't find him on anything. And if you need to get him, it's via email. But he asks you, has your question been answered here?
Yeah.
Or is it about this? Or is this something interesting that we can collaborate on? And if you think it passes all of these sort of markers, send me an email. And if I agree with you, I'll contact you.
Yeah.
So that there's no onus on him whatsoever to respond to the emails that he does get,
Reminds me of Tim Ferriss's way of doing it as well.
Yeah.
One person I found very interesting though is Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he was sort of challenged on the sleep faster. No one needs more than 6 hours thing.
Right,
that he's
yeah.
very famous for saying that
Yeah.
in most of his movies, in
Yeah.
graduation talks he's given.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love Arnold Schwarzenegger for so many reasons in so many
Yeah.
ways, but I never agreed with him on that. I was like,
No.
like you are very successful, but it seems to be in spite of this rather than because of it. He did in that. It was a Tim Ferriss interview of 2017, I think. He sort of said, "Look, that's what I needed."
Yeah.
And he sort of conceded a bit that, like, I always just woke up. It's like 6 hours of sleep, not go to bed and get up 6 hours later. It depends how long it takes you to get to sleep.
Yeah.
And 6 is just what I needed. And if you need more, you should probably get more. Some people need 5, and that's fine. And so he sort of conceded on that. But had you ever? I'm sure you've heard him say that, and what would have been your opinions?
I would have said, listen, you'll either speak in generalities, or you will, you'll mention the generalities. The general population need between 7 and 8. General population needs 5 cycles of 90 minutes, and there are always outliers, always. But you never ever prescribe. Like in my workshops, I show people how to actually figure out, without going to a sleep clinic, how to figure out what's optimal for them. And most people can figure it out in a week. For some people it takes a bit longer, because you have to have a couple of static weeks where you don't have anything unusual going on, and you can completely control when you go to bed.
It's like a holiday week.
A holiday week, or even just a week where you're like, I don't have anything social going on, or I normally go out on a Friday night, but this particular Friday I'm not going to. So
But if night owls have to get up for 7 to get to work by 9.
Oh gosh, you know what? This is the thing
they
that's
won't be able
really
to figure that out on their own.
this stuff is really hard, because one of my best friends, she lives in Dubai, which actually suits her time clock a lot better. But because she works for herself, and because her work covers a whole load of time zones, she is very definitely a night owl, and she does her work between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. and she will generally then sleep until sort of 1 o'clock, and she's absolutely hugely productive. Yeah. And
so you said midnight. I was like,
oh, sorry, yeah, midday.
Yeah.
But in general, because we live in this kind of world, it's unfortunate for night owls, for people who are, that's their chronotype, is to be a night owl. It's really challenging, because the reality is that we do need to. It's really tough. Like, I would be all for schools starting later, and what was so daft? So my 15-year-old, Monday through Thursday this entire academic year, her first period has been maths, which is crazy. Like, they're not fit to engage at all, but schools should definitely be starting later for kids. And this is where flexible working comes in, and remote working. If you're an owl naturally, you can most likely arrange with your boss that you don't start working until 10 a.m, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's been my. Well, I started work at 10. I'm more of a night owl, not radically, but like closer on that end. And would start work at 10 when I was doing the game dev stuff. So I'd get up a bit and just. I find my brain was on by then. Now I've been like, by 10 so many things can happen to derail you. So now I'm trying to get up at 8 and do work from 8:30 until 10. Just get that one most important thing done. Then I'll move off and try other things.
Can I ask you what that kind of one most important thing is? Is this one most important thing that you've determined, or is it a reaction to an email or something coming in?
The idea is I don't even check email till 10 a.m.
Good, brilliant.
So I've written it down the night before, and on my spreadsheet I'll colour it green if I got it done, colour it red if I'd missed it that day, and as I look back through the month I'm like, it's mostly green.
Good.
on Wednesday it's often been write a blog, but I might reprioritize that now. But the idea was just get the blog done in the morning. Don't let it drag on all day.
Yeah.
Other days it'd be something that should take an hour. Like if it's the most important thing is I email one person a response, I'm not going to make that the 1 hour task.
Oh
but,
gosh, yeah.